Hello, friends. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. And I don't feel good. And I don't know how to stream good. I don't know why that happened. That was weird. I did everything in the right order. I don't understand why the mic wasn't up in OBS. Whatever. Welcome to Sim Sunday. I'm not feeling all that great. I'm freezing cold, as you can see by me wearing a hoodie. And my stomach is hurting me, and like I feel like I'm about to get sick. My throat's hurting. Nobody in this house really feels great right now. Maggie's not feeling good. Azalea's not feeling good. Sage isn't feeling good. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit of a sickness kind of floating around. So this might be a little bit of a short live stream today. We'll see. Yeah, like I said, I feel like crap right now, but I'll try to push through as best I can. I put a call out over on Discord saying, hey, if you got some flight footage, put it up in a channel over on Discord called the Video Collective, and we'll take a look at it on the live stream. And if there's any in-flight if there's any potential for tune improvements that I can see from the flight footage, I'll let you know, and we'll kind of talk about it and whatnot. So we're going to do that today. This is a Sim Sunday live stream, so we are going to jump into the Sim for a minute or two, and then all live streams here pretty much are Q&A. So put any questions that you've got into the chat, and we'll talk through them. Speaking of the chat, Michael K was first, Espander was next, Robert Rosser, Bob Bruce, RT McKinney, Apache Smokewood, Sniper, Douglas Otwell, Mr. Dr. Death, Ethan W, Hush LOS, Frank Nicholas, Espander, Ethan W, RT McKinney, Robert Rosser. Is it Shine? SCHIENE. I'm not even going to try the last name, although I think the last name is just Cough. But I think it's Shine. I'm probably wrong. Feel free to correct me with a phonetic spelling of it, my guy. Michael Espander, Apache, Robert Rosser, Petey Puff, Mr. Dr. Death again, Ethan W, Travis H. What's up, friends? Thanks for coming. Sorry for sort of a low energy live stream, but you know, I just feel like ass. I feel like a bag of smashed assholes. But we're going to fight through. And by we, I mean me. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up an orange. You can also do a super chat to support the insanity that is trying to do FPV as a full-time job. But the even better way to support me is to head on over to CiottiFPV.com and just start clicking buttons, man. Patreon helps me out the most. Did I see a new patron come through my email? Let me take a super quick look here. Yes, Chase, thanks for jumping on to the Patreon, my guy. Much appreciated. Who's it gonna be today? Who's gonna be our new patron during the live stream today? It's only $3 to join, but tomorrow night is a giveaway stream. So if you're currently on the $3 tier and you go up by $2 whole a month, or if you just join as a fresh patron on the $5 tier, you could win $40 or $50 or $60 worth of Tiny Whoop or toothpick stuff on tomorrow night's 10 o'clock Eastern live stream. Should we do it? Should we take Joshua's slot tomorrow night? It's a giveaway live stream, and I feel like people are used to coming through at around 11 p.m. for the giveaway live streams, so maybe I don't take Joshua's slot tomorrow night. Maybe tomorrow night we do our regular 10 to 12 stream, giveaways at 11 or so, and then the following Monday I'll take Joshua's slot because it's not a giveaway stream. That's probably the best way to do it, right? That's what we'll do. But yeah, who's going to be our new patron during this live stream? Click the button, and it could be you, and you'll get a shout out, and you'll be famous on the internet, yo. Over on Etsy and Teespring, I got some stuff that you can buy if you need some retail therapy. If you want to take advantage of over 7 years of FPV knowledge, you can link up with me on Fiverr for a half an hour or an hour-long session. The things that I think I can help you out the most with are flight instruction, tuning, and build planning, but it's your dime, yo. Like, if you just want to fire questions at me the entire time, that's totally fine. You know, think of it this way. All of the info is out there. It's just trying to find a trusted source and the time to dig all of that info up. With a session with me, you're going to be able to get a lot of questions answered really fast from somebody who's been paying attention for a long time. And yeah, you'll get better quality info from me than most spots, right? Like, the opposite of me is Facebook. Asking FPV related questions on Facebook is going to get you an overwhelming majority of bad info that's going to waste you time and money and potentially hurt somebody. So yeah, be really careful with that. Be really, really, really careful. These quads can hurt you. You know, I've got a couple of scars and a $500 medical bill from these rigs. Don't let that happen to you, and I can help you out with that to some extent. PayPal if you want to do a super chat but you don't want YouTube to take 30%. And then look at all these affiliate links. Yo, if you're doing an order on the internet, you should be using someone's affiliate link so that they can keep doing what they're doing and creating content on YouTube for you to watch for free. I've got affiliate links for Weebleed, Newbie Drone, FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, Brain 3D Now, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress. For Brain 3D, this is actually also a discount code. And you know what? Brian told me, Brian from Brain 3D told me yesterday that he completely revamped the website. And he did indeed. Wow, this looks awesome. Very cool. This is a gorgeous... these are beautiful thumbnails. No, they're not thumbnails, but images up here. This is a really cool effect down the bottom. I don't know what's... What the... Amazing. I don't know what effect this is down here, but it's really cool looking. Okay. Wow, there's a ton of images in this. There we go. Okay, I was gonna say, when are we gonna run out of images? This is really cool. Whoever did this for him, or if he did it, this is awesome. Really good work. There's the solder desk version 1.0 there. Radiomaster boxer stand. This is something that I really, really like. I use this all the damn time. It's got printed into it ND2, ND4, ND8, ND16, ND32, and then in this slot here, it's pocketed for micro SD cards. This is great. Like keeping your ND filters organized to know which one is 2 versus 4 versus 8 versus 16 is harder than you'd think. The difference, it's only one stop, is what we call it in the photography world, of difference between these, some of these, like an 8 and a 16, 16 and a 32. And sometimes that can be really hard to kind of tell. So having the markings in here is really, really, really nice. He can print it in all different colors. You want to, and I think it calls it out here, but you want to choose colors that are drastically different. So like having the Brain 3D logo in black here is a really good idea because black is such a stark contrast. But yeah, if you get like, so mine is red and purple, and like the red, the purple on top of the red, like it kind of disappears. So I mean it's fine. But if you want to see the Brain 3D logo, make sure you pick a logo color here that is drastically different than the lid color that you pick. Just a little tip if you want to see that big. So there's a good example of it. Like the Brain 3D logo is just like disappearing into the top. I mean, it's again not the end of the world, but if you want to be able to see the logo, pick a color that's drastically different. Yeah, very cool. You can pick the color of every different piece. This is just a super handy little thing to have. I got mine a long time ago, and I use it on every single gig that I go to because when you're flying cinematic, you should be using ND filters almost all the time. Most popular items section here. Very, very cool. Oh, look at that. DJI O3 20x20 mount. That's really nice. Huh. M2 version, M3 version. Slick. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Really, really well designed website now. I gotta get off my ass and CMYK offered to help me out with it. I just have to get on the phone with them and talk about what I want it to be. So yeah, head on over to Brain 3D, use my link, and I think you'll get a discount. I believe that this Brain 3D affiliate link is going to give you a little discount. So click it, help your boy out, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. In the chat, the folks that have tagged me so far, Espander says hi, Bob Bruce says what's up, Gangles, Apache Smoke says good evening, what's up and hello, Gangly Mofos, how are y'all doing? Frank Nicholas says no voice audio, here we go, no sound, no sound, no sound, no sound, no sound. RT McKinney says, your Fractal 75 builds, how do you mount your camera? With any of the Fractal builds, I mean, you don't have to, but you kind of should. here's what I'll say. The only benefit, in my opinion, of the Fractal builds is that they give you that camera mount to put the camera all the way up front. If there's, yeah, if you're just gonna run a regular camera mount, I don't really see the point. And if you crash, you're gonna really bang up your motors, because the carbon fiber base holds those tiny little motors really solid, and then the 1mm motor shaft is kind of weak. So as you start crashing, all of the force is gonna have to get sucked up by that 1mm motor shaft, and it's gonna bend. And then your motors are gonna wobble, your props are gonna wobble, more vibes are gonna get into the gyro, and you know, tiny whoops are already pretty susceptible to vibrations. We run them pretty much on the limit of what's possible because we don't have powertrains in them that are totally up to snuff. They're way better than they used to be, but the cold hard fact is that tiny whoops have the weakest powertrains compared to in terms of like power to weight ratio, and especially compared to all of the other propeller sizes. So you really want to go above and beyond to try to keep the vibrations out of your tiny whoops so that you can push the PID tabs as far to the right as humanly possible, to gain back some of the flight performance that you lose from the powertrains being the worst that we've got in all of quads. Although I guess you could argue that the powertrains on the 9 and 10-inch rigs are potentially just as bad, but that's a different problem up there. It's kind of interesting. At the bigger prop sizes, the problem becomes that the vibrations are down below, can be, let's say that, down below 200 hertz, which is where the actual movement of the quad is. And so it's not that you can't, but you don't want to drop notch filters on those sub 200 frequencies, because then if you command the rig to rotate at a similar frequency that's being filtered out, all hell's gonna break loose, and it's just a bad situation. But tiny whoops are sort of the opposite side of that. All the vibrations happen at really high frequencies, which are easily filtered, but too many vibrations are too many vibrations. Like once the motor shafts get bent, you can't filter that out. Like you can just keep moving your filter sliders down and down and down and down. There's no amount of filtering that's going to be able to handle that many physical vibrations. So yeah, and in doing so, you're going to increase the filter latency so much that the flight performance really suffers. So yeah, it's really important to have, if you're going to crash, right? Some people never crash. That's not true. Everybody crashes, but some people crash a lot less often. And some people will crash a lot less hard. With tiny whoops, in my opinion, you should be crashing all the time. It's super fun. They're not going to hurt anything, and it's going to really help you be a better pilot. And it's just more fun. Crashing is hysterical. And crashing a tiny whoop with a carbon fiber frame is really hard on the motors. So either resign yourself to replacing motors all the time, or run a plastic frame, and it'll let the motors last a long, 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 long time, like the Meteor 65 frame. So yeah, if you're using a Fractal build and you're not using the little front camera mount TPU G-string thing, in my opinion, you're kind of doing it wrong. But you do you, yo. Just, I warned you. RT McKinney says, I'm getting a good lip reading on your no audio streams. I'm getting good at lip reading on your no audio streams. Travis H says, hello. Metal Nerdskin with a $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, have a good stream. Can't stick around. I'm not going to read that out loud, but you guys can read it in the chat. RT McKinney says, I didn't seem to get a mount for the camera to mount it up front. It just came with the battery mounts. Well, that sucks. It should be one big piece. Let me see if I can find it. to show you. It should be one big piece of TPU that you have to cut out. All right, so here it is. So this is actually the 75 here. Let me just zoom on it a little bit. All right, so it comes with this one big piece of TPU, and what you're gonna do is cut it here, and this is the rear battery mount, this piece here. So you snip it off there, and then you're gonna snip it off here as well. This is the front battery holding piece. And then this in the middle here, this is the camera piece. This is the lens goes through this little oval here, and then these little guys push into the little slots in the front of the frame here. So yeah, that's how the Fractal frame works. RT says, nope, I didn't get that piece. I ordered the frame from BlueJay. Well, that sucks. What the hell? I would contact BlueJay and maybe send him a picture of this and say, hey, I need this piece here in order to be able to use this frame. Otherwise, this frame is worthless to me. And hopefully they'll send it to you. Or I guess if you have somebody local, well, I don't even think we have to do that. If we go to Fractal's website, I bet you they have the print file. Show downloads. Yep, there you go. Fractal 65/75 printed parts. What the hell's a gimbal? Oh, gimbals. Okay. Yeah, if you've got somebody local to you that that does 3D printing, you can. Looks like you can just have somebody make it for you, or get in touch with BlueJay. They'll hook you up. They're an amazing company that takes care of its customers for sure. Okay, let's grab some flight footage from the Discord channel, and we'll talk about it. Where are we at here? I see you guys over on Discord asking about BlueJay 0.20. We took a look at it and tried it out on the stream the other day, and it's still not. It still hasn't fixed the main problem, which is that the quads desync and fall out of the air when you push them really hard. So stay on BlueJay 0.16. I have a couple of videos on the channel here with top to bottom how to backdate. Unfortunately, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's not all that difficult. Here's the link to backdate. I'm gonna just drop the link into the chat. That's the link that you need to backdate to get the hex file that you can then manually upload. RT says, I just need to swap in TPU to my printer, then cool. Awesome. Perfect. Hang on a second. YouTube just reset everything on me. Pop out chat. Okay, there we go. So yeah, let's take a look at some flight footage and see if we can get your guys' tunes a little bit more dialed in here. So, and again, these are posted over on the text channel called The Video Collective on my Discord. It is a Patreon-only channel, so you're going to have to give me $3 of your dollars or 7.5 cents per hour of live streaming that I do a month in order to get access to it. I think that's super fair. You should too. It's the only way that I can do as decent of a job at this as I do, is that I can do this full time. Bob on a Wire on 8... No, that was before I put the post up. Here we go. Why does it just say J? What are you doing, Discord? Discord is hiding his full name for some reason, and it's just giving me J ... Oh, it looks like it's John Goblin. Okay. HD0 Fractal 75 with 802 25,000 kV motors. The all-up weight. No! If you're gonna put these videos up, don't put music in them, please. All-up weight How is the all-up weight so light? All-up weight is 29.4 grams. That's really light for a 75. Huh. He says it's wobbly outside. The name of the video is Putting a Whoopin' on Philadelphia. Very cool. What a great name for the video. Wow, it is wobbly. What the hell's happening here? I'm going to guess that you have tri-blade propellers on here. John, if you're in the chat, tag me and correct me if I'm wrong on that one. The reason that I'm going to get... Hold on, let me look in the description of the video. No. Nothing to go off in the description of the video. Interesting. So, on a 75mm motor-to-motor build, which uses 1.6-inch propellers, I have found 802, 25,000, and or 27,000 kV motors to be absolutely, completely locked in times a million. The flight footage that you were watching at the beginning of the stream, for example, is that combo. So let me just show you guys the potential of this setup. Technically speaking, I'm in a plastic frame here, but if anything, the carbon fractal frame should fly better, because the carbon fiber is going to do a better job isolating the AIO and the gyro on it from the vibrations. But this right here, this is 802 27,000 kV motors, motor limited down a little bit. So that rig and that 29.4 all up weight is plenty lightweight. I think this thing is that you're watching right now is actually heavier than that. But yeah, this is the there was a window there. I thought it was an open gap. Yeah, this is the flight performance that you can expect from 802, 25 or 27,000 kV motors. And yeah, we are not... John Goblin is most certainly not getting that from his. Like, it's super, super, super wobbly. So, yeah, wow, that's bad. Holy cow, that's bad. Look at the funky colors in the OSD, though. That's pretty slick. That's kind of cool. I guess you could argue it's a little bit distracting, but kind of cool nonetheless. So yeah, there's something going on here. I would not think that this is completely PID related. This looks too bad to be just a PID issue. Essentially, the PID's not being cranked up high enough. But you can certainly try to band-aid this with cranking the PIDs up, as long as your motors are relatively fresh and not wobbly, and like bent up and whatnot. So, yeah. Definitely get this thing onto the GemFan biblades if it's not already. If it's on the GemFan biblades already, then the problem kind of must be in the tune. I really don't think that the frame is... there's John Goblin. Tri-blade GemFans. Yep, there it is. So yeah, get those the hell off. Here's the deal, basically. 802, for the longest time now, has been a motor for 1.2-inch props, 65mm motor-to-motor quads. Pretty recently, I realized that the GemFan biblades are light enough that an 0802 can just barely handle them. It can just barely give you the response time that you need for a really locked-in PID tune. And what's cool is 25,000 to 27,000 kV is enough RPM to get really good power out of those biblades. What I think you're going to find, John, is you're going to have more power with the biblades over the tri-blades. Because right now, the tri-blades, you're in a situation where you are overpropped and the motor does not have enough grunt to spin those up and slow them down quick enough for you to get good PID loop performance. Good PID loop performance comes from a number of things, but one of the main things it comes from is the motor's ability to speed up and slow down the propeller. All of those wobbles get cured by the motors on one side or the other ramping up or breaking down. When it wobbles one direction, you want these motors to ramp up and these motors to break down. When it wobbles the other direction, you want the opposite situation. So when you have more than one wobble, and you see this cascading wobble situation, more often than not, the problem is response time. And it's not, you don't have a quick enough response time, basically. Here's the other super interesting thing, though. When you overprop a motor, even though you would think, and I thought forever, that adding propellers is no matter what going to add power and add thrust, it's actually not always true. Sometimes it is true. More often than not, especially with tiny whoops, man, like the thrust testing that I've done with tiny whoops, I've been blown away by the fact that the bi-blades almost always make more thrust. It's crazy. There's a couple fringe scenarios where I've seen tri-blades make a little bit more thrust. The quad blades are just useless. Other than if you want something that's really quiet, I guess, but tiny whoops are already pretty damn quiet. So yeah, it's super interesting. So switching over to the Gemfan bi-blades, you will definitely get better PID loop performance. You might actually get better, more power. So yeah, do it for sure. You're certainly welcome. John says I'll swap props. Thank you. So yeah, that was an easy one. If for some reason you are in love with these, so if here's what I'll say: if you go to bi-blades and you don't like them and you want to go back to tri-blades, make sure that you go back to the Gemfan 1608, the new tri-blades. The old Gemfan tri-blades are nasty. All of the old tiny whoop props are kind of nasty. In the last like year and a half, every single tiny whoop propeller that has come out has demolished all of the old propellers. So stay away from the old Gemfan tri-blades. I think they're 1635 or something like that. They're way too pitchy and they're way too heavy. So yeah, if you're not already on the Gemfan 1608 tri-blades, those will help the situation because they're lighter and they're less pitchy, so they'll help with the response time, and they might even help with the power because the motor is going to be less bogged down. But if you really are desperate to stay with tri-blades, what you should actually do is go to a 1002 motor. The 1002 motors have enough volume to really control the tri-blade tiny whoop propellers in the same on 75mm rigs, in the same way that on 65mm rigs, if you run a 702 motor, you really only want to pair that with a bi-blade. If you're desperate to run a tri-blade, you kind of want to go up to an 802 motor on the 1.2 inch propellers on the 65mm tiny whoops. A lot of numbers in what we do, man. It's I'll go on like these runs of numbers and Maggie will be around she just looks at me like, what the like, I could never, what she says all the time is like, I could never do what you do. I'm like, you could give it like a month and you'd be better than me. I'm sure. Slim Sim 23. No, Slim Simo 23 says, can you recommend a better frame for the Moblite 7? Stock frames warp like crazy. So Slim, tiny whoop frames warping. I'm not totally sure what you mean by warping. Personally, when I hear the word warp, what I think that means is that like if you just leave it sitting on the table or if you leave it out in the sun or something, the frame will just bend on its own and then the frame will be warped. I don't think that's happening, because it's a carbon fiber frame, and carbon fiber doesn't typically do that. Oh wait, is it not a carbon fiber frame? Hold on, Moblite 7. It's not a carbon fiber frame. It's a plastic frame. Sorry. Okay, so just take the word carbon fiber out and insert the word plastic. Plastic certainly can warp. That is a thing that plastic certainly can do. Here's the problem, though. I think this is the Mobula 7 HD, not HD. I think this is the Mobula 7 V4 frame. Looks an awful lot like it. Why is this frame warping? Is this frame maybe warping because of this stupid camera mount setup here? Is this camera mount TPU piece pulling the frame sits like this? Is it pulling the frame like this? Is it warping front to back? Looks like Yarbs has the same problem. Where's the is the frame rotating when it's warping, or is it tacoing when it's warping? If it's tacoing when it's warping, get that stupid camera mount off the top and just put a regular camera mount on it. Just put a regular canopy on top, and that behavior will stop. I can say that pretty confidently because I'm pretty sure that this is the Mobula 7 V4 frame, and I've been running those for over a year, and they've been amazing, and I haven't had a single one warp or anything like that. Yarb says, if you're looking at the camera front view, the right side sags down like a sad face. That's weird. So it's sagging like that when you're looking at it from the front. Which is super strange. What the hell? Why is it doing that? I wonder if it's doing that because they're running the frame sideways? Are you guys, like, leaving batteries in the frame? And then the battery is pulling the... Oh, this is not a Mobula 7 V4 frame. Look at these... See how these standoffs are closer together here? Yeah, this is not a Mobula 7 V4 frame. Okay, so this is an easy one. Get a Mobula 7 V4 frame. They are the best of the 75mm frames that I've tested, at least. So this... Huh. I thought it looked like a... Alright, so these are two different frames in these pictures, I think. Or it could be a perspective issue. Does the V4 frame really have those two supports? Oh god, my stomach. Closer together like that? I didn't think so. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. This is strange. I mean, so my guess here is going to be that CiottiFPV has the wrong picture. Okay, here. Let me put it this way. This is what every single Mobula 7 V4 frame that I've ever bought looks like. The standoffs here are north, south, east, west. There's no weird angles going on with the standoffs. The frame here, to my knowledge, this is a picture of the Mobula 7 V3 frame. This here is the V4 frame. So, and this is what you want. So if you order this, you know, the description says Mobula Happy Model 75 V4 frame. So if you order this item, CiottiFPV better send you this frame and not this frame. If they send you this frame, send it back because this frame sucks. This is the V3 frame. And I think you guys have V3 frames on there. And yeah, get those off. So your other option, you could try the Beta FPV frame, unless it only works with the bigger props. Let me see something here. Frames, here we go. We want brushless frames. Let me see something real quick here. So you don't want this. You don't want this 75 Pro frame. That's for the bigger propellers. 75, yeah, and you don't want this frame because it's very weak. Yeah, here we go. I thought so. There's a V2, but this is set up for 2S, so you don't want this either. Which one is this? Which, oh wait, no, this is also set up for 2S, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Get the Moblite 7 V4 frame. Yarbs put something in Discord in general. Take a quick look. Oh my god, look at that. What the hell, yo? That's nasty. That is really nasty. And I can tell you for a fact that that is the V3 frame. Yeah, I can tell by the thickness of the standoffs. That's super sad looking. You're right. It just it just looks like a big sad face. Yeah, get that frame off of there. Get you a V4 frame, and it will not look like a sad face. This frame has taken some beatings, and you can see it's still, I mean, it's not happy, but it's not sad either. It's just okay with life, and that's a good spot to be in. So yeah, get you some of that. Get you some Moblite 7 V4. That's a cheap fix there. You know, it's gonna cost you like $4 or whatever for that frame. Going back into the video collective. So there you go, John Goblet. Hey, thank you for submitting your flight footage for me to trash on. Although I'm specifically not trashing on your guys' flight footage. I'm, you know, helping you get your shit tuned up a little bit better. All that being said, flying tiny whoops outside, there's the potential for wind, and wind is always going to kind of cause some issues because we've got prop guards around our propellers, and that makes the rig very, like, not aerodynamic. So when you've got any wind coming in while you're flying outside, it's going to have a tendency to make the aerodynamic situation go crazy. And so you've really got to have a great powertrain. You've got to have the exact right propellers, the exact right motor, and the tune kind of dialed in to not have wobbles when you're flying tiny whoops outside. The last thing that I'll say, I don't think I covered what you could do. So if your current tiny whoop, for some reason you can't change anything on it, you can't go to the bi-blades, you can't whatever, you could attempt to fix that wobbling situation with the PID sliders. The easy button would just be to grab the master multiplier slider and start moving it up. Move it up like 0.2 at a time. So if it's at 1.0, go to 1.2, fly the rig, see if it's any better. Go to 1.4, fly the rig, see if it's any better. Go to 1.6, see if it's any better. At some point, maybe at 1.6, maybe at 1.8, Christ, maybe at 1.2, it depends on each individual rig. At some point, the quad's gonna start to sound and fly angry, is a word that sometimes we use. Something ain't gonna be right. And at that point, take that slider and go back. So if that happened when you went from 1.2 to 1.4, go back to 1.2 to confirm that at 1.4 it was starting to be angry. And you've found your limit at that point. You've found the limit of how far you can push the PIDs with that particular rig, that frame, those motors, those propellers, and more importantly, that build today. As you crash it more, you're going to bend the motor shafts more, and the situation's going to get worse. So you just keep that in mind. Like, you can't just put a tune on a rig and it's good forever. And as you beat a rig up and as things wear, you get more vibrations. So yeah, this is why I never recommend that you tune a rig to the bitter edge of its performance. Like when you push that master multiplier up and you get to one step where the rig starts to seem kind of angry, you can actually leave it there. But the next crash could put it over the limit where you arm it and it just flies away on its own. So careful of that. But yeah, that's the full kind of situation there. You could band-aid that current setup by just pushing the sliders up. So that, like I said, the easy button is the master multiplier. To dive in and be a little bit more targeted with it, those wobbles are a lack of D-gain. Well, they're actually a lack of response time. But D-gain is the slider that would help that out the most, that would help those wobbles out the most. So technically speaking, if you don't just need the easy button, what you could do is the very first two sliders are P and D-gain. You're going to push the P-gain slider up to like 1.1, and you're going to push the D-gain slider up to 1.2. Fly it, come back, take the P-gain slider, push that up to like 1.2 or 1.3, take the D-gain slider, push it up to 1.4. Fly it, see if it's okay. Come back, 1.6. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck in terms of wobbles like that out of D-gain than P-gain. And when you push any of the sliders, when you push any of the PIDs, you're starting to chase the dragon as to how can I word this in the most simple way possible? You're starting to chase how much artificial response time you can gain from the sliders, because that's kind of what the sliders are. Not really. I mean, that's a weird way to put it, but yeah, the PIDs work off of timing. As you push the PID numbers higher, the PID loop reacts to things that are off set point, bad behaviors. The PID loop is going to react to bad behaviors sooner. And the problem arises where you've got vibrations and the PID loop doesn't know what the hell vibrations are. So the PID loop will, if the PID loop is cranked up far enough, those little tiny vibrations, it will try to correct them. And when it tries to correct a vibration that's being caused by the mechanical system, it's going to overshoot and it's going to feed back into itself. And that's when you can have a situation where you arm the quad and it just, and it flies away, gone forever into Never Never Land. And I really try to not have that ever happen to you guys, because it makes me feel terrible when it does, and it's because I told you to push your sliders up. So yeah, there's that. But there you go. There's sort of the full situation that you're currently in. I think I hit everything. Let's get caught up on chat, and then we're gonna take a look at Big Tree Loop from Bob Bruce. Where was that in Chad? That's wild that those Mobula 7 V3 frames warp like that. What pieces of shit. Slim Simo says, looks like I have a V3 frame, exactly a sad face. I'll grab the V4 frame. Thanks, dude. You're certainly welcome. Yeah, the V4 frame is magic. I will say this. The V3 frame is lighter. So if you don't care about anything other than lightness, V3 frame for sure. But it looks like you need to get a couple of the damn things because they're going to turn into sad faces. I think that if you take that sad face frame off and you boil it in water, it'll go straight again. I think I've heard that. I think I've heard that this used to be an issue. Tiny Whoop frames would warp, and I'm pretty sure that boiling them. But get a new frame. It's $4. It's not worth your time to be taking apart your entire tiny whoop and boiling the frame and then putting it all back together. Because I think it's going to happen again. I think the whole boiling thing just temporarily brings it back, and then it's going to do it again. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but just get a V4 frame. You're going to love my nuts. Hold on. All right, let's take a look at Bob Bruce, big tree loop. I don't know if this is intended for me to critique the tune. This might just be him showing off a big tree loop, but I can see some opportunities for improvement on this tune here. Hey, keep in mind, guys, also for the record, a bad tune will make you a better pilot. All right, like this whole like obsession with cranking our tunes up is not a great thing if you're trying to learn. If you're trying to impress your friends or your viewers on YouTube, sure, crank your tune up so you have nice smooth flight footage. But if your goal is to get better as a pilot, I actually think that you should leave your tune completely stock with all of the sliders at 1.0, because A, it's pretty damn good. Like Betaflight is phenomenal at like with everything stone stock at this point. So on most rigs with a half decent mechanical system, props, motors, battery voltage, all up weight, you kind of don't really need to tune anymore. But yeah, for the record, if the goal is to get better, and here's the reasoning behind that. A loose tune will show you when you have put the quad into dirty air. It'll also show you when there's a breeze, which is one of the big reasons for tuning. You go fly outside and there's 5 miles an hour of wind, and that's going to create a weird aerodynamic situation, and the rig is going to wobble, and that drives you crazy. So yeah, take this all with a grain of salt. If you choose to crank your tune up, understand that it's going to make learning more difficult, because it's going to cover up mistakes that you make, and it's going to cover up when you put the quad into bad aerodynamic situations. It's also going to have your rig on more of a razor's edge, so as you, if you're trying to learn, you should be crashing a lot. And when you crash a lot, you bend propellers and motor shafts, and that puts more vibrations into the gyro. And so with a cranked up tune, you will run into that and the situation where the quad tries to fly away on you earlier. So Brandon said it really nicely in chat. Get good, then learn to tune. Good lesson. It's really true. It's really, really, really true. If you're trying to improve as a pilot, run a sloppy tune. Just run a stock tune, really. And also I just thought of this, but also take that as an opportunity to dial in your mechanical system, to dial in your propeller, motor, battery, all up weight. Because nowadays with stock Betaflight PID tune, with a good mechanical tune, like I said a minute ago, you can have a rig that's damn near perfect. Tiny Whoop is a little bit different because they've got the worst power to weight ratios out of any of our propeller sizes. But the tune on the intro of the video does not have the PIDs cranked up very far. It just has a proper mechanical system. So there's actually a lot of benefits to not tuning. But everybody wants a good tune, so we'll talk more about it. We'll obsess more over it, right? Cole Powers says, if you can formal coat your electronics, you can leave all your components in while you boil it. I guess, although, good Lord, would I not recommend that. That's funny, but yeah. Bob Bruce says, I have not tuned at all. Okay, cool. So, let's talk about it, and let me show you what I'm looking at and what I'm looking for. This is much more subtle than what we were just watching, so We're going to go full screen here. I saw a little bit of it. It's actually pretty good for not tuned at all. This is Bob has done a good job selecting components for the powertrain on this. But I can just, I'm looking for a really obvious moment here. Like I can see like some micro stuff, but through the live stream, it's going to be hard for that to come through. See at the bottom of that, it did not wobble, which is one of the ways that we know that the mechanical system is already in a good place. But I think I might be able to find a spot where... No, I mean, that's just hitting a little vine. It could just be some like jittering from the frame rate of the footage that I'm seeing, because usually, and I mean, you've put it into prop wash at the bottom of these dives a bunch, like right there, for example, and it's not. Let me take a closer look at that. That little moment there. It's right after this. I think it's this one. Here we go. See right there? That was putting it into its own wash. So here's something that you can do, is slow the footage down. Oops, that ain't it. Slow the footage down to like half speed, and that's a really nice way of catching wobbles. Wow, no, it's really not bad. Whatever this quad is, it's got a really good combo of props, motors, all up weight, battery voltage. I actually don't know if I would mess with this. Here's what I will say. If you want it to be more smooth, add D-gain to this. There is still, so I could kind of see it there. There's just, if you look in the tree here, there's just a little something going on. There's, and again, it could just be some weird jittering from this, whatever the hell this camera is. But there are some vibrations going on here, and D-gain might help out with them. Even if it doesn't help out with that, what extra D-gain will do is just kind of, yeah, see, okay, so there are some small little micro kind of jello-ish vibrations right in here. Look down on the bottom right side of the screen. Like, look down here. Look at this house, right? As Bob turns left, and you're gonna see just some nonsense. See it? See it there? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it'll be coming through the live stream, but yeah, there's something going on there. And so it could be, it could technically be too much P-term, but I doubt it because your sliders are at 1.0, you said. It could be a bent propeller or a banged up motor. So definitely check that first, right? As we always talk about, you want to check the mechanical system first. If the mechanical system is fine though, and the props are fresh, the motors are not banged up. Oh, nice. That was a nice drop down in there from Power Loop. Yeah, you might be able to clean it up a little bit. Here's the deal though. You're kind of looking into the sun, and it's and the shutter speed is going. The shutter speed is speeding up significantly. It's basically, you are in a recipe for Jello and for exactly what's happening. One of the things that 5-inch rigs carrying GoPros do really, really, really well is isolate the camera from Jello and from this stutteriness. Micros have a much harder time with that. I don't know what camera this is. Hold on. It's the Avatar V1 microcam. What the hell is that? Why can't I think of what that is? Avatar V1 micro. Oh, right. Walksnail. Walksnail Avatar V1 microcam. Yeah, so HD. these tiny little HD cameras have a really hard time with jello. That just is what it is. Pretty much everything other than GoPro cameras have a really hard time with jello and that stutteriness. And it used to be it used to be the thing that kept me from going HD on my micros, because there was just nothing you can do. Back in the day, we did not have motors that were well balanced enough or well manufactured enough, and we didn't have tiny little propellers that were well balanced enough. Nowadays we do. So technically, Bob, your problem could be out of balance propellers or mismanufactured propellers. Like the for a long time, the HQ 3 by 2.5 by 3s, I believe they were only available in gray, were out of balance right out of the package. So yeah, try a different propeller. Like I said, I don't even know if you put that video up there for this advice. So if you're not looking for this advice, it's totally fine. But someone out there is trying to get smoother footage from a 3-inch rig, and all of this whole diatribe that I'm about to dive into is right up their alley. So if that ain't you, that's fine. But if there is someone out there, it's really difficult. It's very difficult to get clean, non-jello, nice, smooth footage out of, to be honest, anything smaller than a 5-inch. 5-inch rigs are magic. As soon as you get away from that magic, you're in the woods. It is possible, though. I've spent countless hours figuring it out. And here it is. It's outside in is the easiest way to think about it. And it's the priority. So the farthest outside is the propellers. They're all the way out from the drivetrain, right? You got, like, if you follow the path, you've got propeller, motor, wire, ESC, another wire, battery. And then, of course, the all-up weight of the whole system. Those are the biggest things that contribute to performance. The propellers have the most effect, so the first thing you're going to do is just take the propellers off and put a fresh set on, because when you crash, you bend the propellers up and they come out of balance. So that's the very first thing you do, is just put a fresh set of propellers on and see if the issues go away. Second step is to change to a different propeller. Try to find a newly manufactured propeller. The balancing of these small propellers has gotten way better over the last 3 to 4 years. So try a new propeller and try two different new school propellers to see if that helps the issue out. It probably will. Then you're going to go from the propeller to the motor. And the first thing that you're going to do is just see if your motors are banged up from crashing a bunch. And the easiest way to do that is to pull your propellers off, plug it into Betaflight, go into the motors tab like I've shown you a million times, and just move each individual motor slider up around the 1300 range. Sweep it from like the 1200 to 1400 range. That's where most of the vibrations happen. And you're just going to keep the rig powered up, and you got to touch the rig. You got to feel the vibrations through your fingies. So you can leave the rig on your desk, but just make sure you're pinching the frame of your rig. Propellers off so you're safe. And you're just going to spin each individual motor up, and what you're feeling for and listening for is there one motor that is vibrating more than another? If so, replace that motor. If it's two motors, like a lot of times the front motors will be more beat up than the rears because we fly forward and we crash into the front motors more. Replace both front motors. But usually there will be one motor that's drastically louder than the rest. Replace that one and the problem will more than likely go away. Technically, just like with propellers, some of these little tiny micro motors are just shittily produced, and they're just not balanced from right out of the box. So technically speaking, maybe change to a different motor to help the situation. But usually what you're going to find is you've got 1 or 2 motors that are banged up, and when you replace them, that's going to help a huge amount with the jello situation. So props, motors, we're going to keep working our way in. We're going to go through the motor wires to the ESC. ESC settings, ESC firmware, BlueJay 0.2 versus 0.16 typically has no effect on jello. It has an effect on other things for sure, but I almost never have luck changing ESC settings and that helping out with micro vibrations. All that being said, I've heard many people say that they have had luck, and typically what you'll want to do is, if you're on 24K, change to 48. If you're on 48, change to 24 and see if the situation gets better. Unfortunately, there seem to be a fairly equal number of people that say that they went from 48 to 24 and it helped. And there's the other side that says they went from 24 to 48 and it helped. I think what's going on is that it's two different there's 2 different causations or whatever for the vibrations. Folks that were on 48 and went to 24 and it helped, the vibrations were being caused by the rig vibrating and the motors not having enough braking force to help with the with a lower frequency vibration that's happening. When you go from 48 to 24, you gain engine brake, you gain motor braking, and if you have a slow vibration, additional motor braking can sometimes help that out. If you have higher frequency vibrations, switching from 24 to 48 smooths the throttle out, smooths the thrust of the motor out, and that could help with the vibrations that you've got going. So it's tough to know which is which. Like I said, change it, see if the situation gets better, maybe change it back if it didn't get better. I try to run small quads. I try to run rigs that are smaller than 5 inches on 48 if it's on BLHelias or BlueJay. But yeah, that's the next thing you can change. More important than that, though, is going to be your filtering in the flight controller and in Betaflight. So at this point, if you've changed propellers and you've changed motors, you've made sure that you don't have any screws loose on the frame or in the motors, you've made sure that you don't have a carbon fiber arm that's delaminating, right? You've checked all the mechanical stuff that we talk about all the time. If the mechanical system is totally clean and good to go, now is when you want to dive into ESC firmware nonsense and Betaflight tuning nonsense. This is where things get a little bit more complicated, and you'll probably need to run black box, because we're talking about micro vibrations, and those are really difficult to get out. But you can follow the same sort of approach in Betaflight with what we were just talking about on BlueJay BLHelias, and just make a change, see if it gets better, make a change in the opposite direction, see if it gets better. Even if it gets worse, you've learned something. So yeah, at this point, you can grab your filter sliders, and if they're both at 1.0, I would move them up to like 1.3, see if the situation gets better, move them back down to 0, and then move them down to 0.7, see if the situation gets better. And you can kind of figure it out, and you don't have to screw around with black box. It'll probably take you to do that and to put it up in the air a couple times. It'll probably take about the same amount of time that you would spend on getting black box set up, doing the log, diving into the log, hemming and hawing. So yeah, that's going to be my full kind of picture of how you can get that little bit of jello stuttery weirdness that you've got out of it. your tune looks totally fine. A little bit of extra D gain might actually help out, to be honest. Extra D gain can help with some of those micro vibrations. You can think of D gain as a damper or a shock or strut on a car. And P gain is like the springs on a car. So if you've ever seen hoopty or just a shitty car bouncing down the highway, that's a car that the shocks are blown out and it's just bouncing on the springs. So that's P gain. P gain has a tendency to be up to just do this. It'll just or it'll do that if you're looking at the wavelength. D gain is there to damp that. So these little tiny vibrations, the D gain can sometimes damp them out and slow these little tiny vibrations down to a point where they don't give you this jello. But yeah, HD on micros is a bitch, and I've spent so much time trying to figure out how to get clear crystal footage out of micros. As soon as you start crashing a micro, unfortunately, a lot of that kind of goes out the window. A micro with motors that have been crashed a bunch, propellers that have been crashed and pushed and leveled back out, you're just not going to get super clean HD footage out of it. But Bob's footage looks pretty damn good. There's only a couple situations there when we kind of see it. So, we're trying to improve the last 5% on that big tree loop video that we just saw. And the PIDs are in a good place, but it looks like John Goblin put a screenshot of his PIDs here, which is the previous video that we were watching. Okay. So this tracking is really low. This could be the problem right here. This is... I'm curious as to why this tracking slider is so far down. Before you do anything, I would move this tracking slider back up to 1.0. And that's probably going to help. Yeah, these P gains are incredibly low. So that could be the issue right there. Your mechanical system still does need help. I would still definitely try the bi-blades. But with this low P and I gain, even on the bi-blades, you still are probably going to have a lot of that wobbliness. So I would think that that's more the problem. If you pulled this slider down because the propellers and the motors are beat to shit, I get it. But you're not going to get those wobbles out with propellers and or motors that are beat to shit, unfortunately, because that's just the game. That's just the way that it is. So yeah, try to get this tracking slider at least up to 1.0. If you guys are moving your sliders down below 1.0, you're not going to get good flight performance. That's just the way that it is. And you've also got less pitch damping, which is interesting. You've got the master multiplier pumped up a little bit. That's interesting. So the master multiplier being pushed up here is going to offset the fact that this tracking slider is pushed down. But yeah, I mean, if here's the deal. If you're going to use these sliders, don't use the master multiplier. If you're just going to take the super easy button out, that's what the master multiplier is for. If you're going to work a little bit harder and actually use these individuals, just leave the master multiplier at 1.0. All the master multiplier does is it pushes everything. It pushes all of these individual sliders up. So as soon as you start screwing around with the individual sliders, having the master multiplier not at 1.0 just makes your job harder with the rest of these sliders. So don't do that. Put the master multiplier at 1.0 and then just work with the individuals. So yeah, what I was saying a second ago is you have your pitch damping sliders turned down, and you can see it here. Your pitch P gain is actually lower than the roll P gain. And the only time that you would, I mean, it's really subtle, so it's not making much of a difference, if any. But you can also see it here in the feed forward, 154 versus 156. You pretty much never want this. You pretty much never want your pitch gains to be lower than the roll gains, mainly because we almost always have more weight on the pitch axis than on the roll axis. and it's almost always the battery. The battery usually goes front to rear, and so you've got more weight on the pitch axis, so you want more authority in the PIDs to handle that extra weight. The only situation where you would want to do this with and move the pitch sliders down is if you're running your battery sideways, and if you're toilet tanking the tiny whoop. And I never recommend doing that because there's no way to perfectly center the battery left to right, and having a battery that's off center left to right is bad because, like, when you do things like stab the throttle, it's gonna dip to one side. If you've got the extra weight on the pitch axis, when you hammer the throttle, it might like nose down a little bit or nose up a little bit. That's a lot less noticeable than it rolling every single time you come on and off the throttle. So I would definitely get those pitch damping and tracking sliders back up to 1.0. And if you're toilet tanking your battery, I would actually not do that anymore. If for some reason you like the toilet tanking setup, then yeah, maybe leave these sliders alone, because you would want, by lowering the pitch sliders, you're artificially boosting the roll sliders, and if you've got more weight on the roll axis, that's what you would want. So yeah, there you go. Bob Bruce said, and we got that. Yeah, he says, I'm still learning, about a year and a half into the hobby. You're in the right place, brother. I'm a prop snob, and I've tried a few, but I'm running low, so I need to order some more. Gotcha. Merryman says, 0802s even on a heavier Walksnail build. It depends. It depends on how heavy it is. It depends on what you're looking for, what you're looking to do with the build. There's no one-size-fits-all answer to any of this stuff, even though people on Facebook would lead you to believe that there is. But yeah, I love 802s on. I have 802s on all of my. I mean, the biggest question mark here, Merryman, is 65 motor to motor versus 75 motor to motor. That's going to have a huge impact on the answer to your question. You know, on Fiverr, I have a build planning service. I spend a half an hour one-on-one with folks, and like half of that phone call is me asking questions about what you're doing with the build, what are each individual piece of the build, how long have you been flying, what's your favorite pilot. I have this big long list of like 20 some odd questions that I run through with you. That is the only way that you can give a proper answer to a question like, you know, which motors should I run on my build. So yeah, when you see people on Facebook, just when you ask a question like yours on Facebook and 80 people say 802s are great, 802s are the worst, 802s are great, 802s are the worst, understand that those people don't know anything. Because if they knew anything, they would be having this conversation that I'm having right now of like, hey, I need to know more info. Yeah, be really careful of that. People on advice from Facebook is much more often terrible advice than it is half decent advice. So be really careful with that. Merryman does say 70. It did say 75 here. So yeah, maybe. The answer still has to be maybe, because I don't know how heavy. I don't know what you're doing with it. I don't know any of the answers to these other questions. All I can say with the amount of information that I've got right now is that I have a Walksnail 75mm build that I love on 802. It's actually going to be getting these 27,000 kV motors at some point here. But yeah. But unfortunately, I can't dive any deeper because I don't know the answers to 20 minutes of other questions to give you a really, really, really dialed in answer. Northern Tier says, what do you think about that new Speedy Bee F4 35 amp 20x20 stack? I haven't seen it, if I'm honest. So let's search it real quick here. See if I can find some info. Hang on one second. Okay. So, where are we at here? Let's do a quick search. Let's do a quick search. So here's I don't have any experience, so I try not to say like yes it's great or no it sucks on stuff that I have not like personally tested and beaten the living balls out of. So I'm not gonna like dive into this and be like yeah definitely get it. Here's what I can tell you. I have not been impressed by Speedy Bee electronics at all. Mike from GemFan spent a week with me when I still lived at my apartment in Alpharetta. And over the course of a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I checked his wiring, I checked his soldering, everything was fine. He had 3 Speedy Bee ESCs go up in flames on him. Apparently that particular one had issues. It was the V2, and they fixed it in the V3, and blah, 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 blah. But it does not speak well for a company to put a product out that catches on fire pretty much immediately. And so that really, for me, like that whole experience, and it's the V2, right? If it happens on like a prototype or a V1, like I can maybe kind of excuse it. But that kind of shit happening on a V2 that makes it to market, like that's no good. That kind of, that's the kind of thing where I'm just like, nope. That's like an HDLRC situation where it's just like, okay, not buying anything from that brand ever again. What I will say is that I love Speedy Bee's USB setup, right? So it's they're not a company that's just in it to like make money. I don't think any of these companies are in it to make money, right? But yeah, I do. So it makes me a little bit more curious about it. It looks like this is the stack in question here. It's really tough. It's really difficult to gain any knowledge. Oh well, it's not even available yet. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure the specs are and like with stacks, like you know, 35 amp. Like, this is great. It's great that it's got the wireless built in. I mean, that's a huge thumbs up. Stacks nowadays typically will have a 5 volt and a 9 volt back. That's great. They typically have a bunch of UARTs. That's great. But I mean, you can get that with any of them. This is suspect as hell. This scares the shit out of me. $60 for a Bluetooth 35 amp stack. Like, that's probably going to catch on fire. Maybe it won't. Even if it doesn't catch on fire, though, how the hell is it going to be decent? Like, how is it possible that everybody else's stacks are like over $100 and all of a sudden this one's 60, right? Like, so chances are it's going to be bad. I would love it if it wasn't, but chances are it's going to be bad. Here's another thing that's super scary. It looks like it's drilled for M2 with no rubber grommet. If it actually is, stay the hell away from this. Hopefully that's just a... hopefully that's just... And this is a render, right? Hopefully that's just a mistake in the render. But yeah, if this flight controller is drilled M2... don't get this under any scenario because it's going to be a nightmare. Hard-mounted flight controllers are awful, and there's just nothing you can do about it. All right, so this is good. This is good that they've got a picture of rubber grommets. So And at this point, if in 2023, if anybody is making a flight controller that doesn't use rubber grommets, they should be beaten with a rubber hose. So, yeah, should be okay on that front. But man, I would be super, just because of the price and some past experiences with Speedy Bee, I would be super suspect to this. I am someone that is of the mind, I would rather spend, to be honest, I would rather spend twice as much money on a stack. I would rather spend $120 rather than $60 on a stack because of how long it takes me to install the damn thing, and how much the rest of the rig is going to cost if the stack catches on fire when you're unrecoverable and you lose the entire rig, right? So I would always rather buy more expensive electronics that work better. I have to spend less time fucking around with, taking apart, reinstalling all that nonsense, and potentially losing an entire quad, than saving a couple bucks. And my God, that took me years to wrap my head around. 7+ years ago when I started this hobby, I was unemployed. And so everything I bought was the cheapest possible stuff I could find on Banggood. And over and over and over and over and over again, that stuff exploded and I had to replace it. And the second that you have to, the second that you buy something cheap and it blows up and you have to replace it, you've now spent more money than if you just bought something nice to begin with. June Loco says he's got 4 quads on Speedy Bee and it's been good so far. I have heard a bunch of people say that they've got Speedy Bee electronics that are running okay on their rigs lately. At first it was a mess, but that's tough, man. It's tough. I almost wish they would just charge more for the stack. It would literally make me feel better about their products if they charged more for them. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's all a roll of the dice to some extent, but I've had such a good experience with Acon and T-Motor that, in my opinion, just buy more expensive stuff. I don't know. It's easy for me to say, right? But I don't know. I still think it's a better idea to spend a few extra dollars on just like the stuff that's buried, right? The stuff that like it takes you hours to get installed and reinstall and stuff like that. But you know, you do you. Do we have one more? Balls. Do we have more? We do not. All right, so we're good. Let's hop into the simulator, and then I'm going to shut this thing down and curl up in a ball and die. Bob Bruce says, the video you should have mine had a Speedy Bee F7 55 amp stack, and it's been good to be many crashes. Awesome. Love hearing it. Those of you that have had any experience with Speedy Bee, good or bad, leave a comment. Type it into the chat. Let's talk about Speedy Bee stuff, because they're kind of the new kid on the block. And it's really, really, really nice that they've got the Bluetooth shit built in. Like that's super slick. So let's load up the chat and the comments with feedback on Speedy Bee stuff. Remember what I always bang on about when it comes to feedback is don't just type, I have Speedy Bee and it's great. Like that accomplishes nothing. I would rather you not say anything if that's what you're going to say. You need to call out like what it is that you have. You need to call out how often and how hard you crash, maybe like what you crash into, and how long you've had it. Speedy Bee is great. I have them in all my quads. Have you ever flown your quads, or have you just built them on the bench and then hung them on the wall? People do that. Lots of people do that. When you fly your rigs, do you ever crash, or do you go 1,000 feet in the air and float around and then land softly on a pillow? Right? It's important. Rob Axelson says, I also do not like push buttons on the Boxer. Lehman FPV did a mod swapping it for a flip switch. Rob, I think you posted that somewhere. I feel like I've read that before. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that there is a mod to put it on the to put flip switches on it. I just wish they wouldn't use the stupid things. They're just a bad idea in my opinion. But I don't know. I guess I understand it. I would rather have like a slider switch. You know, I would rather have a sliding switch with like a raised edge on it or something like that. I feel like there's a much better. Like I know they did the push buttons to round out the top of the radio. Your arm switch is the switch that always breaks off because it's the longest, and that's what she said. But yeah, get you some. Let's do the simulator for a minute, and then my stomach's starting to feel like ass again, so we'll shut her on down. But let's spend a minute in the sim. You guys can hop in. We'll rail around. Northern Deer always lands on pillows. And then we'll wrap this thing on up. Okay. Velocidrone takes forever to launch. Let's be as patient as we can. Don't you dare update. Okay, good. No update. All right, it's coming up. Alright. Here we go! Velocidrone time. Multiplayer. Glide. Continue. Create session. Where should we go? Let's go somewhere that we haven't been before. Indoor go-kart. Have we been there? I feel like we've been there. Combat Canyon. What the hell's that? Let's try it. Combat Canyon sounds cool. Okay. Powering up there. Whoa! Oh, I can hear military helicopters. That's pretty cool. Combat Canyon. Espander's in. Let's see what Espander's up to. He's checking out the Combat Canyon. Oh, look at that. There's a fucking AH-6 taking off. What? Tell me that it has downdraft that's going to suck you in and spit you out. Nah, it doesn't look like it. Plugging in the old transmitter here. USB joystick. Expander is giving us a quick tour. Actually, that's I misspoke. That's not an AH-6. AH-6 is the attack helicopter. Them little birds. Nice. Whoa! Shit! Okay. All right. This could be fun. We're gonna get attacked by military aircraft. I feel like I'm playing fucking DayZ right now on Velocidrone. So what do we got? We got a little Range Rover action here, ish. Looks like a Defender. Wow, I have the power turned way down on this. What a cool map. Okay. Oh, power loop the barracks. Oh, that was an ugly power loop. Yeah. Ah! I was really going for it on that one. For some reason, I'm actually going to turn the power up on this rig a little bit. Hold on. It just feels a little, I don't know if this is a bigger map or what, but advanced drone setup. Nope, that ain't the one we want. Change it to jet went ripping by. Let's get... Oh, yeah, the propeller power is all the way down to 70. Let's go up to 80. Should be a little bit better. Let's power loop the Black Hawk. Here we go! Oh, God. Can we get in the door and power loop the rotors? Oh, God, we went through the rotors. Oh, boy. Let's try that again. That was ugly. Ah! The Expander got through it. Oh, God! This is treacherous. Oh, God, the jet comes by upside down. I'm getting hit by the blades. All right, I'm doing a bad job of this. I'm power looping too early. That's what's going on. Here we go. Power looping the Black Hawk. Oh God! Get me out of here. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ah! I'm impressed. They have it like all programmed in. There we go. This might be it. That was an ugly one, but I'll take it. Oh God! Well, I just rammed right into it. I don't know what I thought was going to happen there. What else we got? We got a blown up Black Hawk. In DayZ, there are helicopter crashes with good loot, and they look just like this actually. What else we got here? This is a big map. The reason why the quad felt so slow is this is a big map. What's in this barracks? Anything? Tanks! Let's power loop the tank hangar. Leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Get in there. Yuck. Gross. What's my up tilt at? Up tilt is at 30. Okay. Tank hangar! Little birds! Whoa! Let's catch him. Nope, he's gone. Oh, there's a downed UAV over here? That's interesting. What are those called? Predators? I think those are called Predator drones. Let's get down here. Oh boy. Yikes. I'm flying like a bag of smash. Oh, a wrecked little bird over here. This is an interesting spot. There's not a whole lot going on. It's kind of cool though. Oh, we got a little command bunker here. See if we can get in and out of it. Ah! Oh, this is where they're flying the drones from. Ah! This is the Predator drone shack. Look at that. Ah, that's wild. Oh, God. I'm having a rough time today. Well, cool. This is an interesting map. Ah! Missile launcher here. I don't know what these trucks are called. Satellite dish love. There he is. Get him, get him, get him. And he's gone. See if we can power loop this little watchtower looking thing here. Love to be able to power loop up through the... Oh, we got a ladder dive, yo. We got a ladder dive. This is... I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not the best at this, but we'll give it a shot. Alright. Nope. Try it again here. Nope. I'm not good at proximity stuff. On 5-inch rigs! Ah! All you gotta do is shit on yourself and then you can do things. That was pretty much luck, but, you know. This is really what I want. I want the power loop, but I want to power loop it up through the top part. Expander, did you just do that on the first try, you fuck? Yeah, that's what I want. I want a really tight power loop where I go through the top there. Why do I keep getting it off to the side? What's happening there? Ah! There's another one right here. Oh! Ah! Get him! He's gone. All right, we're going to try this power loop another couple times, and then I'm going to shut this down, my friends, and lick my wounds. You guys can get you some Mads Tech. I'm sure he's going live at 5. Oh, so close. That's what I want, though. That's really what I want. Let's try it again. Uh-oh. That's not what I want. Ah, we're getting close. Ah, shit, hold on. Let me give you guys a stick overlay. When you're trying to throw yourself back through an object, you got to really wait to apply full throttle. Like, look how long I'm going to wait to put full throttle on. Ready? And now that time I waited a little bit too long because I'm trying to, like, be drastic to show you. But there it is! Almost. Almost. Very close. Ah. Oh, power loop to ladder dive would be nuts. Nope. Yeah, I mean, if I get this, it's just gonna be luck. Although I'm kind of dialing it in a little bit. That there was an example of putting the throttle on too early. If you ever do a power loop where you don't cover enough distance backwards, you put the throttle on too early. It's just how it works. Or you carried. Well, no, yeah, I mean it's true. Technically, it's also a sign that you carried too much speed into the power loop. Almost. It's close. Now everybody trying it. Oh God, what was that? All right, last try. I don't want to see her doing this all day. No, that was the worst last try ever. Last try needs to be a good one. Hey! No, that was a terrible last try. Let's at least get close. No, I'm getting worse. Oh, that was a pretty good last try right there. That was pretty close. Maybe we'll just sit here forever. Hold on, let me get a good last try in. That's how it works, right? Last try. Oh, that was the worst last try ever. All right, last try, for real, last try. Ah! Nah, it's still not a good enough last try. Hold on, last try, here we go. Ah! Hold on, one more. Last try, though, for real, last try. Ah! Last try, hold on. Oh, so close. All right, this is it, last one for sure. Oh, God, that would have almost been through if I'd had it centered. Oh, my God, we're almost in there. All right, last one, for real, last try. Oh, shit, hold on, just one more. Oh, God, I'm getting worse again. Last try, friends. That was the worst ever. Last try. Fuck. Come on. Just one more. Last one. All right. Well, the goal there was I figured eventually I would get it. And then I could say, "Ah! I did it on the last try. Holy shit. Yay!" But I tried, you know? I tried to game the system, you know what I mean? But it just wasn't meant to be. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Sorry for the weird live stream, but I'm not feeling good. When you don't feel good, you don't do your best work at work. So, hey. Tomorrow night will be better. Tomorrow night's a giveaway live stream. Join my Patreon for streams that are much better than this one, I swear. Tomorrow night you could win thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Tens of thousands of dollars of stuff will be given away tomorrow night. A couple of $100 worth of stuff will be given away tomorrow night. Come on over, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Join my Patreon to get in on 3 out of the 4 giveaways. CiottiFPV.com. Do it! Be good, friends. Here's some more Oh, my stomach just made quite the noise. Here's some more 75mm Ultimate Jungle Gym Slayer Tiny Whoop action for that ass. See you tomorrow at 10. Love you guys. Later. Hold on. I gotta turn on Black Hole. Black Hole!